back in the night, you and I are Gen X. Let's say we're Gen X.
Yeah.
For anybody out there,
Yeah.
I mean, I call you Boomer, but I do that because it's fun.
Right.
I like doing that. But we're Gen X.
Yeah.
Okay. Which means we think everybody older than us is stupid, and
Right.
we think everybody younger than us is
Also stupid, yeah.
And they're all like, "Who are they?" That's basically where we live.
Right.
So a very popular show back in the 90s was Quantum Leap. It was Dr.
Was it the
Sam
90s or the
Beckett.
80s?
I think it was 80s and
And
it
then
bled
I
into
think
the
it bled
90s.
into the-
Right,
yeah,
because the
exactly.
90s was dominated by X-Files. So this was 80s.
Right.
Dr. Sam Beckett,
Played by Hunky.
Patsy O'Brien.
Yeah. Patsy O'Brien was the star of Quantum Leap.
Yeah.
I can't remember the guy's name. Good-looking guy.
Yeah. Sam Beckett.
Yeah.
And so the story, because I got to explain this,
Okay.
is basically he's a scientist and he quantum leaps into other people's bodies.
That's where, yeah.
And like each episode, he jumps into somebody's body.
He was doing this before Ant-Man.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Ant-Man thinks he, invented the quantum realm,
Well,
but he didn't.
so we were watching the pilot, and I was like, "This is kind of like Groundhog Day, the series," because he keeps like he's in this body until he figures out what it is he's supposed to do,
Right.
And then he quantum leaps to another.
And hilarity ensues each time.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Hey, what happened?
So
Why do I
it's
have boobs?
kinda-
You're inside a woman now.
It's a stealth.
Literally.
It's a stealth show. So like the people that
Meaning
wanted
you can't see or hear it?
no. The people that wanted to watch like soap opera type things, they've got that. Because it is basically that,
Like
your
Dallas.
and then
Yeah.
your sci-fi people, you've got that whole thing, and
Like
his
Star Trek.
his buddy Nipsey Russell, Nipsey Russell,
Yeah.
the hologram.
Yeah.
I can't remember any of their names. It's not Nipsey Russell,
We should have prepared.
Jeff Goldblum, whatever the guy's name is.
Charles
And
Darwin.
he talks to him. He's kind of like Q if you're a Star Trek. No, he's not. The point is, this show was on for 8 seasons, and I know that because I bought the entire series for $20, and I thought this is going to be fun for the entire family to watch.
Scott Bakula.
Scott Bakula, yeah, and his buddy is Dean Stockwell.
Dean Stock. Yeah.
Yeah. Damn, it's like Bakula hit and Stockwell came right after.
Bam!
So we're looking for something to watch as a family.
Uh-huh.
We've been watching X-Files, but then every once in a while, X-Files, we do. We'll watch the Alien one. They'll have an Alien episode. Then all of a sudden there'll be like a series of serial killers with pentagrams and carving goats into heads.
And then eventually the kid's like, Mom, Dad, are they going to do it?
Randomly, Mulder will bang somebody for no reason.
Yeah.
And then it'll come back.
There's a reason.
And then it'll come back to aliens, and then there's serial killers. There's a pattern to it.
Then there's a person with no arms or legs that they keep under the bed.
Yeah, so
and that's when you sign out.
I remember Quantum Leap being family entertainment.
Right.
I remember it being that way.
Uh-huh.
And I remember it being a cool show. So we sit down and we're going to watch the pilot. And it dawned on me very quickly that I ain't never seen the pilot, one. And two, they don't explain shit in the pilot. It just starts.
Uh-huh.
And it's going off of the thing of Dr. Sam Beckett doesn't know in the beginning. He doesn't know what's happening. He jumped, he leapt, and then lost his memory.
Uh-huh.
So when he pops up, he's like, just an internal thing. And young Scott Bakula sounds like such an idiot. He's like, I don't have blonde hair, do I? He's like, oh, come on, man.
Yeah.
Don't, you're going to be be captain of a starship here in about 20 years. You need to get your shit together.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of clenching, going through it.
Sadly, the acting was pretty good for
and
the time.
he's in the pilot, he is a test pilot.
Okay.
And one of the guys that's a test pilot looks exactly like Hangman from Maverick. But it can't be because this is like 40
from
years
Top
ago.
Gun. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So now I'm out of the show. I'm on IMDb looking for the name of the guy in Maverick and the name of the guy in here. And are they related?
Right.
And I'm on Wikipedia. Did somebody have a son?
Yeah.
I'm ignoring the episode. And at some point, I get woken back up from this, from Charlie saying, this is boring. To which Bess's normal response is, well, just give it some time. Her response is, yeah. And then I realize I'm about to come to his defense, and I realize I haven't been watching this thing for a good half hour.
Right.
And we look, and there's like another 40 minutes because it's the pilot. It's like a movie length thing, and I'm like, let's turn this off. I'm done.
Yeah.
I don't think it's, and she's, I still think that maybe it's like Seinfeld. That you watch the first episode of Seinfeld.
Horrible. Yeah.
But you have to get through it. But I don't remember now that this has kind of tainted my memory. Now I'm starting to think maybe Quantum Leap wasn't that great of a show.
You know what? I've noticed that with a lot of shows.
Yeah.
Because we were on was it Pluto or whatever, and on the Roku box. And I saw where we could watch The Bionic Woman. I'm like, oh, we've got to watch The Bionic Woman.
Yeah.
And the opening credits were cool. The rest of the show, oh my God, it was horrible.
Yeah. That's the $1 Million Man.
Yeah, but didn't they use the same sound effects for her?
Maybe.
Or she's a girl. She ain't allowed to have sound effects. I can't remember. We didn't get through it. Okay.
Well, in the 80s, they did a thing where you had Superman, and then a few years later, you had Supergirl, and then Bionic Man, or $1 Million Man, and now
the Bionic Woman.
Bionic Woman.
And Jamie Lee Curtis.
And then Lily Tomlin got shrunk down, and she went
the Incredible Shrinking Woman.
She got into a garbage disposal.
Yeah.
You remember that?
But that wasn't related to either.
No. And I don't think Dabney Coleman was in that movie, but in my head, Dabney Coleman was in every movie in the 80s.
Yes, he was.
All of them.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I was on Roku, and I saw where you could watch the Mary Tyler Moore Show.
Okay.
I'm like, oh, hell yeah, let's do this.
Yeah.
The first episode of Mary Tyler Moore Show, painful. I mean, I could not find anything to laugh at.
Yeah.
And it's literally one of the greatest sitcoms of all time.
Yeah.
And if anybody hears this, I mean, my house is going to be egged when I get home.
Well, another one is.
And I love Mary Tyler Moore.
I was a big fan of The Incredible Hulk in the 70s and 80s. And if you go back and watch those now, it is pain.
Yeah.
Like when he's changing into the Hulk, which was always the big part.
Yeah.
It's like it shows, what was the guy's name? Dave Brennan?
Bruce
Kulick?
David Brenner.
David Brenner.
Bruce Banner.
It shows like he's at a Starbucks or something,
Don't
and he's
make
like,
me angry.
I'd like a.
You won't like me when I'm
angry. He's like, I'd like a coffee with 2 creams. And like, we only have 1 cream, and then that music. And he's like, I want 2 creams. We only have 1 cream, and it shows his eyes, and they're normal. And then he's like, I want 2 creams. God. And then you see like a sweat come down off the eyes, and then it goes back, and then it comes back, and the eyes are a little. They're green. The eyes, the pupils are green or whatever. The irises, but everything else is normal.
Yeah.
Back to the person going, and then back to him with the sweat coming down, and now there's a little bit of green eyeshadow. It goes on for like 5 hours.
And Hulk never would punch somebody.
And then
he would pick them up and he would throw them, and they would always go through like an open window.
Yeah.
And they would land in the grass.
And then
they would never like land on the sidewalk or on a broken, like on a nail.
It's showing
like, now I got to get a tetanus shot.
It's showing his eyes back and forth for 2 hours. Then all of a sudden, Lou Ferrigno shows up with a poodle, that hair on his head, and he's flexing. You could
almost see the green powder puff off of it when he ran. Yeah. And what killed me was like
he's flexing for about 5 minutes, and then
his pants would always tear at the legs, but they would never tear around the waist. So he had the same waist size as Bruce Banner.
And it never tore in the middle and let the big old third leg pop out there.
the big green monster never showed up. No, it didn't. Yeah. And then,
in reality, it would split right up the ass crack.
Yes, it would.
The 2 big green Hulk cheeks come out.
Absolutely.
Be clapping as he ran down the street after him.
Hulk's ass cheeks clapping.
Yeah. It's like, come on, guys. When you put on pants, is it really that tight around the calves but loose on the crotch? I mean, I guess maybe he knows what happens, so he buys like carpenter pants or whatever.
They're elastic. He wears sweatpants like you wear for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, you don't want to wear Hulk in skinny jeans. It's not a no.
Remember that episode of Family Guy where they get the piano and Stewie's like, ooh, play that sad song from the Incredible Hulk.
Oh yeah,
ding, ding, ding,
yeah. The last 20 minutes of every episode is that. But those are painful to watch. But as a kid, I was all over that stuff. Yeah. Oh my god. So anyway, that didn't go well. Yeah. So now I have this. There it is. It's sitting right there because we just pulled it out. It's going to go to waste.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm Mike.
And I'm Darren. I hear a lot of people say that they just can't get into podcasts.
And that's why we created Irritable Dad Syndrome.
Yeah, on this podcast, we never go political. We don't discuss controversial issues or tell people how to think.
We're just a couple of guys who talk about all the fun, wacky, and sometimes annoying people we run into on a weekly basis.
So check us out. You'll be glad you did.
Irritable Dad Syndrome, the podcast for people who just can't get into podcasts. Available everywhere.
Irritable Dad Syndrome.
Holy shit, we got that on the first try.
I think that was pretty good.